Hello, YouTube. I am Lucky Sixes. This up here is Hyper G.
It is. It is Hyper G.
And
Yes.
together, although there are some other people, but we make up the most part of PTG, Proxy Table Gaming. Hello,
Yeah, all
YouTube.
those other guys don't really matter, you know. Let's not beat around the bush there, you know.
um, yes, here we are for exciting updates. The yearly patch has come round, and here we are for the first of many videos. We're going to
Yeah.
do it all as a sort of group.
Snippets.
Snippets and stuff.
I just love the word snippets, to be honest.
It is, yeah. Today we look at the Arcane Compendium and the Rulebook as well,
Yeah.
because there are a few more additions in there,
hmm
but nothing too groundbreaking, to be honest.
No.
As you can see, we start with the Rulebook and Arcane Compendium changes, and I believe all of these are done in the release is done in patches and stuff. So you might be coming to us the day that they've been released, or once all of the things released. So either way, welcome and enjoy the next 10 minutes or so.
10 minutes, yeah.
Well, that's my
I
aim.
was gonna just not say how long we
I know.
intended this video to be, because it
Well, we'll
could.
see.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
hoping 10 minutes, maybe 10 minutes 40. What's the difference?
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. It's like my
Um,
battle reports, isn't it, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, straight on to the rule book and
That's
some clarifications and stuff in aligning units and combining units and dangerous terrain. We looked through
yeah,
it a little bit, and it's nothing that we could see that was too different. It's just clarifying what we've
yeah.
sort of already done. So there's nothing. Don't look in there thinking there's going to be a radical change. But
No.
it's just to clarify exactly how you do things, so in aligning and doing multiple charges and orders and order
Yeah.
of things and things like that.
The one thing that I noticed that might be ever so slightly different in regards to the declaring charges part and everything is that you might now be able to declare a charge even if you know that if all of your charges get in, one of them will be a failed charge. You
Sure.
can still declare the charge. It's like that kind of clarification.
And
So
do you choose which one fails then?
yeah, pretty much,
Yeah.
and things like that. So I don't think it's anything that we common sense wouldn't have done anyway, but I think they're kind of like just putting it in there because it's come up and no one likes the rule book not to cover something. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
now it's like crossing the T's, that
sure.
sort of thing.
So yeah, there's that from that point of view, and then there's a whole load of like new model rule changes, and we'll go through them very quickly. But basically, um, they are army book rules that have now been moved to the rule book for the most
Yes.
part, anyway.
Yeah.
So we have attached,
Yeah.
which is a new model rule, which the model have to be joined to a unit.
Yes. I think that one's quite a cover-all kind of rule, really. There's a few different units within various army books where that a rework to that as a whole works quite nicely and
Yeah,
tidies it up. Um, so yeah, I think that's a nice one, and I think we'll see that a bit more when we look at the individual books rather than looking at it now. It's not that
yeah.
easy to explain when you're looking at it as the rule book perspective, but when we see it in the books, we'll be able to say, oh, that's the attached rule, which is now
Yeah,
in the rule book.
for sure. But yeah, so again, this is you'll see a rule in in an army book. You go, it's not answered, but it's basically been moved over to the rule book, which is one of them.
Pretty
Deafening
much.
Clamour, which is a newish one. I can't remember which book that would be from.
There's a few. The ogre giant had that. The march to the beat on a bigger model, basically.
Sure.
Yes,
But
I think
yeah,
there's a
but
few other
basically, a
examples. But yeah.
better musician that forces match checks.
hmm
Otherwise, hidden that applies mainly to the assassins, but I'm sure there'll be a few extra uh, models in there as well.
Yeah,
But
and
basically,
we'll see dread elves and vermin swarms fairly recent,
yes,
quickly in the update. So we'll see those ones in particular.
yep. So that applies to that basically in models that are appearing like mid battle and stuff like that. Hold
Yeah,
the line. Let friendly reroll panic. Let friendly reroll panic within 6.
yeah. I don't know how much that is. It's interesting because the dwarf book hasn't got one of the first set of updates. It's not
Yes.
one of the ones we're going to cover in the first set of videos. But I think it's the old
It could be a bit of VS as well, a bit of Vermin
Greybeards.
Swarms with
Maybe,
the
yeah.
Eagle Standards and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
true. There is that. Yeah, no,
Um,
you're right there. But
maybe the Saurians. Do they re-roll? No, I guess they don't. That's just
no,
the
not tend
leadership,
to.
isn't
But
it?
it's the old Greybeards rule, or if you
Yeah.
go even further back, Longbeards rule. But
Mm.
yeah.
Exclusive. So this is basically loner.
Yes, or units that can only join certain units,
Yeah.
or units that can't be joined except by certain characters.
Yeah.
So it covers like your unbreakable things can't be joined by non-unbreakable characters and unstable, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So it'll say exclusive, unstable, for
yeah,
example,
exactly.
or just exclusive, which means
hmm
it's just on its own.
Which is effectively loner. So they've combined loner into certain rules that,
Yeah.
yeah, it's quite good. I like that tidy up.
Special ambush, so just clearing up. There's a whole little page on there just to clear up how different ambushes work and sort of thing.
So I guess that's Undying Dynasties. They're
Yeah, there'll be some beast
entombed
head
within the
stuff.
sands, and the Saurian Puaki Sky Tyrant
Yeah.
has got that as well. So yeah.
All encompassing extra support, so things that don't follow the normal way for support attacks, basically.
Yeah.
Rage has been moved to the rulebook. Pretty
From
familiar
every
with
giant
Rage.
profile.
Yeah. Shooting extra rank, exactly what it says. Steady aim, which ignores standard shooting penalty, so
That's dwarfs
dwarfy
again.
stuff. And immune to ignore attack attributes. So that'll be, for example, I'm not sure this is in there, but immune flaming attacks.
Yeah, exactly. And there were a lot of like special items or character rules that said you can take this and ignore lethal strike, for example.
Yes.
So instead of that, it's going to say immune lethal strike or
I
immune
imagine
whatever.
like immune multiple wounds, maybe as well, or
Yeah,
things
maybe
like that.
it could be anything. It's a really good way of basically just stopping you having to write that whole sentence. You just put immune and the rule in, and then you Bob's your uncle.
So rulebooks were not massive amounts of changes, to be honest. Just a few additions from the army books and stuff like that. So yeah, really, that's your lot. They do go into a little bit more detail, but nothing too groundbreaking or anything like that, really.
I mean, yeah, we had a quick look through. We're not ever going to say that we're the most thorough of reviewers, but we certainly couldn't see anything massively obvious. And by that I mean, like, there isn't highlighted blue text for any particular part of the paragraphs, which means you can't really see what's different unless you analyze it word by word. And we don't do that. So yes, if we've missed something obvious, apologies. But yeah, we think it's just an overall improvement to an already very good and solid rulebook.
That's it. So moving on to the laws, and we start with alchemy. Not much changes in this. Really, it's just the Word of Iron and Silver Spike casting changes on the higher. Otherwise, alchemy is as is, really.
Yeah, I mean, Word of Iron's gone up, Silver Spike's gone down, and I don't think that is terribly unexpected. No. Really. I mean, Word of Iron 2+, an additional 2+2 armor is amazing.
Yeah, it just makes those 3-up armors incredible, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, alchemy as is hasn't really changed much. Cosmo. No. Truth of Time has changed. I guess a bit of a nerf from that regard.
I don't know. It could be. I mean, the thing is, it's a nerf in that you might not roll as far because you're losing 2 instances of maximized or minimized in the case of putting it on them. But it's more reliable because you now know you've got +2. Whereas when you're rolling extra dice and removing the highest, I mean, I've failed numerous Kraken charges with Truth of Time on because they've got triple Swift Stride, and I still don't roll high enough to get an 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I like it because it's more reliable. And,
for sure, it is taking out that element of dice rolling, I guess, from that point of view. So making it's more of a solid thing, maybe. But
I think so, and also it was always a spell that you had to cast 1 turn before you needed it, and it's still the case now. So I think the fact that you've removed a bit of uncertainty with it is a good thing because you're already having to wait an entire turn before you actually get to use it.
As well.
Yeah, it's changed in its price. What has it changed? Let me see. The price has gone down. Okay, no, it's gone up. Gone up 1.
A bit. But yeah, either way, it's a similar working sort of spell. Unity and Divergence, again, very similar, but it isn't every single model. It's every
I
single
like
model
that.
within
Yeah.
6x6. It's like bringing the template back up, kind of.
Hmm. I think it's very ninth age as opposed to predecessor rule, where you hit everything. I think that's a good move.
So what that's going to be is you're going to see more potential horde formation stuff, so that some things don't get hit.
Yeah, I mean, if you're defending against this spell in particular, then you're probably worrying a bit unnecessarily because it's only a very few occasions where you have to worry about it. But still, it's less damaging to you. Now it's only affecting some of your unit models.
Yeah, definitely. But otherwise, again, sort of works as is. Really, nothing too drastic there in the changes. Druidism, however.
Oh boy.
Now strap in, folks. So Druidism had a complete overhaul in how it works. The attribute obviously changed massively. You don't get the heal, you just get gain Strider, which is interesting. I guess you work more. It's more about working with the earth. From this point of view.
Yeah, I guess that's a really good way of putting it. Yeah.
You got the ley lines, or I did prefer the suggestion it should be called fey lines because that's it.
Yeah, because Oaken Throne is gone now.
Yes. Which is good. I think it's such a weird mechanic, and taking an extra. It was good, but I think this makes all the laws exactly the same, and I like that.
Yeah, they kind of had two attributes because you also had the gain a wound or raise a wound, depending on whether Open Throne was on or off. And I think, it was a little bit more complex than it needed to be. I can't say I massively liked the change, but
well, in terms of it's a nerf to Druidism. Druidism's been nerfed, basically.
Yeah, because now you have to make the effort to actually cast the spell you want, as opposed to just get it via your attribute.
Totally.
So,
if you look at Fountain of Youth, it's the same. Oh, well, it's the one spell. Firstly, and instead of, I guess it's been reduced down to how many it can actually grow back as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, the D3 health points is quite nice to certain models. If you've got a model that hasn't got towering presence but does have multiple wounds, well, it doesn't. Characters can only get one health point, so not your character cowboys.
So KOE.
The hooded man or whatever, or the ladies courtier, I think are winning in this scenario.
Those sorts of things.
Because they haven't got towering presence, but they are multiple wound.
So that will be interesting to see how many armies can get some with Druidism, can get some like single model spam.
Providing they don't have towering presence,
benefit from this. That'll be interesting. Entwining Roots the same from what I can see.
I think so. No,
casting values have changed.
No, I think it's all good.
Healing Waters, so it's a 5-up rather. So it's the same, but you can't get the boosted basically.
Yeah, and it's obviously now not number 1 spell, which is a fairly big thing. Because
interesting. I think it's a max 3+. I don't know many units outside of characters with like Destiny's Call. Whatever that.
With a 4-up fortitude.
I don't know how many have 4-up fortitude to start.
I mean, not that have access to Druidism, because obviously trolls spring to mind. But the Orc and Goblin book won't get Druidism.
So
there is that.
Put in the comments if you've got one unit that already has a 4-up fortitude.
Ghasts might have had it, but again, you don't have access to Druidism.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's true. It's the lower version of it, but with a potential for extra. Well, I'm not sure what actually gets it. Master of Earth 2d6, so a bit higher, a bit of a better missile, because it used to be d6, I think.
Yeah, and it used to be d6, and the strength would get higher with Open Throne, whereas now it's a pretty standard missile. Although 7+, it's a respectable spell.
Yeah, I mean they're all. I mean, we have the thing has been nerfed, but for the most part up to now, all this casting spells are pretty low, to be honest. It's not.
And I think all the changes that are being made, they're not nerfing as in making them rubbish. They're just making them different. And I think they've still all got their positives. Like Master of Earth 2d6 is eminently better than d6.
Yeah.
So irrespective of the fact that you can't make it strength 5 now. So
well, they're not nerfed until we get to Stone Skin, which
Well,
has
true.
been
Yes.
massively nerfed and increased in price to 10 up. So 10 plus,
It's
I
been
think, is
hit.
hard.
It's been hit with a bat and then buried and then blown up, pretty
Um,
much.
so basically, instead of just getting higher res, you can only be on a wounded on a 5+, which
Yeah, and
is
melee attacks being a big part of it as well, because
yeah,
you previously could get stone skin up to avoid a gun line or whatnot,
yeah, for sure.
like dwarfs, Whereas
So
stone skin ain't going to do that for you.
no,
It's only melee attacks.
most
So.
one niche, which I think just means the casting value has to come down because that 10+ for that is a lot.
Yeah,
You're going to need 4 dice to cast that, and I think it's only now really looking at your infantry and your larva infantry and stuff like that, because most things that are res 6 don't need this.
true.
But so that would be interesting. Summer growth has been nerfed somewhat, but
It affects more units though. It's a bit more like
yeah,
the Vampire Arise,
yeah,
in that because obviously with ley lines you're measuring from terrain pieces.
for sure.
Well, this one, however, is from any ground piece, which I think is cool.
Yeah, and I
Um,
guess the fact that you've got that and Fountain of Youth is quite a good combo.
mm,
I
yeah,
don't know whether 6 inches from any point within 12 is actually too good. That might see a
sure.
lot of things. So because you can pick a point, it's not like from a unit. You can pick a point. I think that might be a bit good. But I don't know whether
Yeah,
that'll go down to 3 inches maybe.
although combined with the ley lines thing, if you're using a terrain piece, the range is set to 6 inches. So
But
it's
that's
not.
from the terrain piece. It's not the whole terrain piece. So you pick
Oh yeah, no, and that doesn't matter for
you
summer
pick a
growth anyway, does it?
point
So yeah,
anywhere within
yeah,
12
no, ignore
or
that.
within 6 inches of any
Hmm.
terrain piece. Which so I don't know whether six. I don't know. It might not be, but I don't know whether 6 is just too large of an area. Because it's
Yeah,
basically
although
12 inches either way.
vampires have got like an 18-inch version, so
Oh no, I get it. Yeah. Well, yeah, but that's not every unit. This is every unit
true,
within.
yeah.
So every unit within a 12-inch
Mhm.
thing. I'm not sure because that could be 6 units.
Yeah.
You know.
Although it is only raising D3 health points, so you're
Yeah.
not talking like you're getting 10 models in each unit within that range. So
Yeah. But yeah,
I mean,
it's an
I think it's
interesting summer
very.
growth.
I think you can build your list around something like that. But for the general list, maybe it won't
Yeah, exactly.
be
Well,
too powerful.
that's what I think it is. 11+ those sorts of high castings.
Oh
So
yeah,
we shall
yeah.
see. So that is by far and away the biggest
Talking
change
point. Mm.
of the magic laws. So a big difference. It'll be interesting how that affects its usage. I think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've been playing Saurians with Druidism, so I will be adapting a lot because of this update.
Exactly.
But I don't think I'm going to abandon Druidism straight away. I'm not like going to just throw it out the window and say, fine, not using Druidism,
Yeah, sure.
you've changed it all, my whole plans have changed. I won't be doing that. I'll give it a go. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, man. Next up, divination. If I can get it right. So nothing much in the way of changes. Only that spell that no one ever uses has changed.
Yeah.
Mirror of the Veil.
Portraits of the Veil or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
The new version's all right. I mean, I don't think it's anything special.
Yeah, it's interesting. Magic Resistance 3 coming from Magic, which also affects your magic buffs, is an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, it basically means this is the last spell you cast on a unit in that magic phase.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's probably more. It's definitely more easy to understand. It's much simpler and things. Otherwise, still kind of meh. But that's the base.
Yeah, I think the thing is, Druidism was fine. Divination was fine.
Yeah.
It didn't need a number 6 spell, so I don't think they needed anything amazing.
This is just an attempt to actually have a number 6 being used in some lists because all the others are good. So we shall see whether that
I was
is
calling
the
it
case.
meh. It's probably there's someone who's designing Divination who's like, I wanted it to be awesome.
Yeah. It's situational for sure.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Regardless,
the Aura version is cool.
Evocation, Ancestral Blade and Spectral Blades have been moved, and that's the only change. Basically, meaning that you can't get Lethal Strike, Reroll to Wound as your number 1 spell. So the
with
hat,
your Crown of the Wizard King.
Yeah, or any.
Yeah, I've rolled Lethal Strike up quite a lot with that crown. So
yeah, no, it's a good spell, and I think it's a out of those two, I think you would say that Spectral Blaze is the better spell. So
Yeah, 100%.
Interesting from that point of view. But as an adept or apprentice, you still get access to it. So it's only really the hat or anybody that's got protean magic.
Well, not as an
affects.
apprentice. An apprentice wouldn't get it.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So apprentices and protean magic and the hat is all I can see.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that'll change some people's the champion mages. So the whether they'll change
The Wizard Enclave.
Wizard Enclaves, whether they get access to it or not. But there's that, and that's the only change from Evo. Moving on to occultism, and literally the only change is the Grave Calls has got a higher range.
Yeah.
And always, well, and the higher one is to give it better strength only if it's within 12. So the basic bitch spell has been increased.
I mean you can still cast it, but if you cast it and the target is closer, like it originally had to be, then it is amazing.
You have the option of doing the sacrifice, but otherwise that's the only change. So that's really good for.
I mean, I'm terrified of Graves Call anyway, and now I'm more terrified. So yeah,
it's one of the best missiles and they've increased the range. So there you go. Onto Pyro, and I guess kind of a bit of a change in that they've replaced number 2 spell completely.
Yes, cascading fire or whatever it was is gone.
So it's less of a this is a missile, this is a missile, this is a missile, this is a missile, flaming swords, this is a missile. It's less of that, and it's actually given us. But actually, -1 to wound on melee and range for the higher version.
It's such a good spell. I don't understand how that spell is allowed, considering the nerf to Stone Skin
for an adept as well. I mean, it's pretty good.
Oh, I think it's insane. Everyone will now be reworking their Pyro list of magic spells.
Yeah, well, I just think you might try and fit in a Pyro adept, because if you have Cloak of Cinders and Flaming Swords is some pretty good. You either get -1 to wound or I get +1 to wound. I think that's pretty good.
It's so good. It's so good. And you mentioned it to me, but literally as we came on this call, ogres with the double - to wound buff in their abattoir, not abattoir. I don't mean that. Inventory. No,
I like it. Abattoir's a better word.
Yeah. All right.
The only other slight change
Arsenal.
is...
There you go.
The only other slight change is enveloping embers. It's now not every single model, regardless of your size, shape, or whatever. It is a 6x6.
It's like the cosmology spell.
Yeah.
Except this one's flaming attacks
type thing in the area effect, area attacks and stuff like that. So that's the only other change there. We kind of like it. So
it's exactly like Unity and Divergence cosmology, except it's flaming. It's fine.
So onto shamanism, and from what I can tell, it's only totemic summon. A slight change in Swarm of Insects in the overrun as well. I'm not sure about that.
I couldn't work out what scenario that would be possible.
Yeah, there's been one loophole at ETC and they've changed it. That's what's that nowadays.
Right, fair enough.
I don't know.
Someone won the tournament based on that little thing.
Totemic Summon has been the casting value slightly dampened, but the breath attack's gone from the summon itself.
Wow. I've been done by that breath attack so many times, and I think a lot of people have.
Elves love this change, by the way. Any elf. Any elf loves this change. And War Machines as well, to a certain extent.
Although I do think it now covers the fact that if your Totemic Summon comes on, uses its breath weapon, and doesn't kill its target, like your Necromancer, then it avoids the disappointment of it failing to do what it was supposed to do in the first place.
So that's it. But
I have a long memory.
Yeah, that's good. But yes, overall a bit of a nerf, nothing too major, but frustrating for anybody that's used that for a long time, I think. A bit of a change there. Thaumaturgy and Hand of Heaven.
I think that's just a clarification and a change of wording.
Yeah, because roll once for the number of hits and once for the strength. That's what I always did that anyway.
Yeah. Speaking in tongues is interesting.
Yes, it is.
I can't say I massively like this because it means I've got to relearn the shaken rules. But hey, I probably should have learned them anyway by now. Um, yeah, it's kind of like if you want to force a unit that you know will flee next turn,
I
you
guess
can make it
having
fearless.
fearless isn't
But
isn't a great thing either, though.
no,
For
both
some
of them. It's
units,
definitely a hex overall because you're
yeah.
taking the control away from your opponent.
So you
But
can't
if they
flee.
do,
Yeah.
yeah, but if they do pass that test, then they at least get a turn before they get charged.
Mm.
Because
To
obviously
move
magic is
and things
after
like
your
that.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's kind of like just I'm gonna mess with your tactics, really.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah,
yeah,
there will be times when that really comes into play. Maybe for things that don't have light troops and can't get out of the way, or things like
yeah.
that.
And I think if you're shaken, you can't shoot, can you?
If you're shaking, you
So
can't. Yeah.
yeah, so it could be, you could hit a gun line with that. If your shooting unit is out of the general
Mm.
discipline range, then you might be able to get them shaken so they can't shoot you.
I think if you're
So
shaken as well, you can't magical move. Is another thing,
yeah,
which
that's
is
probably
is
right.
quite appropriate because there's a few more of them
Mm.
coming into play. So that might help
Yeah,
that side of things.
yeah. I
Um,
think I think generally people just didn't take speaking in tongues because the old version, which I think was you can't use your BSB or something along those lines.
yeah, the target may
Um,
re-roll failed discipline tests.
yeah, I think no one really took that in any
Yeah.
frequency.
Yeah,
So
that's
this
even
is a
more
bit
niche.
different.
So yeah, trying to bring it
Mm.
into play again, change it up,
Yeah,
have something different. The only other change is Wrath of God is
no
slightly
more extra
nerfed.
tokens.
Yeah, it's always the same range. Don't
I think
get
it's just
confused.
tidier.
Yeah. Easier to say and yeah, shortens the rule. Otherwise, nothing too different from this law either. Witchcraft, Raven's Wing has lost its
Hmm
strength for
Sweeping
sweeping
attack.
attack
I
bonus.
think that's fine. There was a lot of, oh, are you sure you're measuring that right? As you just tip my unit and then run away again. And I just think that created a whole lot of opportunity for
Yeah.
arguments in the battle, and now it's gone. I mean, sweeping attacks generally are a little bit in terms of ruining the momentum
I
of the
mean,
battle,
it
but
wasn't much, but it was always a bit of extra damage, maybe for some elves again, or like light troops or skirmishers and things like that, like skinks and stuff like that. But the addition is a quite interesting one. You
mm,
lose scoring until the start of the game,
yeah,
so
yeah.
no, towards the end of the game, this can't be used as well.
Yeah, don't use it
For
in turn 6 on your unit that is going to claim the objective
yeah,
or running away
which
with an objective.
is a big change for Ravenswing and how people used it as well. So that's
Yeah.
an interesting side of things
I I
to
am
add.
wondering, it's only occurred to me very like instantly, but if you do that on turn 6 and you do it on a unit that has got a spoil, like is carrying a spoil, you lose scoring. Do you drop the spoil? I
Interesting.
mean, it makes it a good reason not to do it,
Yeah,
but you
I
can't pick
think
up a spoil unless you're scoring, can you?
potentially
So,
would. I don't think you would necessarily drop the spoil, but you would not be
you
scoring.
wouldn't gain the benefits
I
of it.
think so. I
But yeah,
don't.
I'm not sure
Yeah, I'm not
about that.
sure you would drop it for that purpose, but I don't
Or
think you
maybe
would
in
get rid of it.
within the spoils rule, there might be if a unit ever loses scoring, it
Yeah,
does this. Then maybe that's
yeah,
clarified
sure.
somewhere else. But
So put in the comments if you know the answer. But
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
there's going to be something around that, and definitely losing scoring is going to affect some objectives. So that's
definitely
interesting.
secure
Deceptive
target and
Glamour,
breakthrough, that sort of thing.
yeah, Deceptive Glamour gone up.
Yes, it has, and I'm upset because it was amazing before, but it was overdue.
Yeah,
It was far too low before.
and wheel turns
It's
always
just
hit or wound.
clarified.
Is a clarifier. I don't know whether this changes anything.
No, I don't think it does. I think they possibly realised that it was a bit didn't need to be
Bit
as wordy as
jargony,
it
yeah.
was. And
But
yeah,
the casting values have changed and the range has changed as well.
sure. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
the casting value, that looks low. Has it gone
I
down?
think it's gone down.
It has gone down by 2 in each
Yeah,
option.
and then
So,
what was the range
yeah.
before 24?
Uh, let's see
It's got
that.
to have gone down the range.
Yeah. No. No, I can't see the range has changed.
Oh, okay. But anyway, we think it's
Hmm.
just a clarification bit and a bit of a points drop, a casting value drop. But let us know
Yeah. If you can
otherwise.
see more to that. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah.
But again, the lore from that point of view doesn't change the way you're doing it. Not like Druidism or possibly Pyro. This for sure plays the same. It's just a few different ways.
Yeah.
Ravenswing is you're going to need to adapt to that for your late game. Basically, on to the last topic of our discussion today. And it's the Arcane Compendium items. So there's not again, a bit like the rulebook, not too much changes in this. The big things, I guess the biggest stuff is what's been removed in the Rending Banner and the Titanic Might weapon enchantment has gone. There is no more AP banner for units, so the bit of the weakness that some units have, that's gone. I'm a bit annoyed at that because I think that'll make spears even more go-to.
Yes.
Like your paired weapons. I understand why they did it, because it meant some armies had an extra. It catered for their weakness of lack of AP, but there are some units that could choose like paired weapons over spears or hand weapon and shield over spears, and I think spears have been made even better because of that.
Yeah.
Titanic Might is a sad one for me personally, but otherwise it's I guess Sylvan Elves, right, have been hit by this most because they already have the AP, and this gives you plus strength, and there'll be some others as well.
One thing about the weapons, just as a quick aside, is that they've now all lost the sentence about gaining magical attacks. Now all enchanted weapons have magical attacks, and they clarify that a bit earlier in the section.
Again, that's more of a clarification, but
it means they can take it out of every single army book as well.
Yeah,
so it's just all
less words.
Magic weapons.
We like less words.
Magical attacks, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so they've been removed. So if you've got them in your list, bad luck, son. The other, I think, probably the biggest change, other than points and stuff like that, is the Blessed Inscriptions has been nerfed to just have no more divine attacks, and the Cleansing Light has been increased.
It gains divine attacks.
So they've basically moved it from one item to another. I really like Cleansing Light for 30 points now. The thing with it is you get divine and flaming. So there is
you can't have one or the other. Yeah.
But as you can see, like I think over the course of the whole game, they're getting rid of the 2+ saves of any kind. There will be immunities, and I don't know whether that will encompass it. But like the Dragonfire Gem's gone to 3+ rather than 2+. I think that's going to happen across everywhere. So
I'd say so.
Having divine on a 3+ is much better. So I think Cleansing Light, take it while it's hot, man, because it is going up.
Yes. I mean, it means that you can get access to divine attacks without having to pay a lot for Blessed Inscriptions. Yeah, really. So,
and the fact you can just turn it on and off is incredible.
Really good.
Binding Scroll has gone up by 10 points because it was taken a lot, I guess. Book of Arcane Mastery. We should say before we move on. Blessed Inscription has gone down to 40 points. Cleansing Light has gone up to 30 points. So they have been changed somewhat, but I can't see Cleansing Light staying that cheap.
Really, you think it's that good? Do you?
Divine attacks is insane, and
I say it's very good if you've already got a decent stat line to back you up.
I think it's really good.
But
yeah, that's my. Whether it will or not, I'm not sure, but that's just what I think. Binding Scroll's gone up. Book of Arcane Mastery
is a rework.
Rather than so gone down.
I think this is actually one of the big ones. Actually,
sure.
I think it removes the breakages that a lot of the books had. Like there were some combos where adepts could take Book of Arcane Mastery and become better than masters. And I think this removes that as a thing.
So it doesn't give +2.
No.
Which is what
just gives you an extra spell.
But gives you an extra spell. You can't take the hereditary though. Is that right? yeah.
Well, you can take it, you just can't cast it. So, yeah, don't take
Well,
it.
yes, which is, yeah,
I mean,
good
that's
thing.
an interesting wording there. Because, I
Yeah,
mean,
so it's
not sure
only
why you would
adepts
take it.
or apprentices. Interesting for the apprentices, I think.
Yeah.
So those apprentices that could get spectral blades and the new pyro spell, for example, flaming spell. So I think
Yeah, true.
um, I think it probably affects apprentices more in that they get an extra spell that you can choose from that lore. I think that's
I
probably
would say
better.
so. Yeah, I
But
would
then
say so.
adepts having 3 spells is pretty good as well. So
Mm.
yeah, I like it. I think it's much more utilitarian.
Yeah.
Is that a word?
Yeah.
Dragonfire Gem stayed the same, but has gone from a 2+ to a 3+, so slightly worse.
Yeah,
Lightning Van Braces at 20 points for
I
Handed
know.
Playground.
It's cheaper. I mean, it was like the hot item out of the last update, wasn't it? And now it's
Yeah,
even cheaper.
so
I mean, I think what maybe has happened there is that everyone took Lightning Bound Braces because it was awesome. And then slowly everyone realized actually their other spells were better anyway.
yeah,
So they just stopped taking it. So now it's
yeah, I
even
know,
cheaper. And
yeah.
we're just having this is the repeat of the next year's thing.
Absolutely.
So,
So, but yeah, so there's that. And that really concludes the rulebook and Arcane Compendium
yeah. Yeah.
changes.
A little
So,
bit more than 10 minutes, but
yeah,
hey.
certainly was. Yeah. But yeah, so let's say like, share, subscribe. Hope you liked all those changes. Let us know in the comments what changes you think
Which is your
are
favorite?
most important, game breaking, or if there's shenanigans afoot.
Oh, yes.
Obviously, go on all the social medias to check us out. Stay tuned. Do make sure you do press that subscribe button to make sure you get all of our next videos on the yearly patch. All of them are coming out in the next couple of
Yeah.
weeks.
Some very interesting changes.
Yeah, we'll probably, yeah, I would say we'll go through them in this sort of format, so 20 minutes ish.
Promises,
Yeah,
promises.
I know. And a quick look at everything so you can get it hot off the press.
Yeah.
Otherwise, see you later.